Hello everyone, this is my review of the BCW Modular sorting tray that I have purchased recently, and I wanted to talk about my experience with it, my thoughts on it, and is it worth the price? And so that's what I'm going to go into today, so let's get into that. So this sorting tray is actually an upgrade from a tray I previously had. The first sorting tray I ever used was a BCW card sorting tray, and it's a little bit of a cheaper material, but it actually works pretty well, and I'll kind of get more into that later as I get further into the review. But I wanted to go ahead and just talk about the product as a whole, the modular sorting tray. So overall, just a quick summary, and then I'll go into more detail about each of these points. Overall, this sorting tray has been a step up from my previous sorting tray. It does look nicer in terms of just the look of it, and in terms of how it's set up and how you can kind of attach what you want to it. So you're able to have more trays in a smaller space. There's flaps on it, so you can actually have it at an angle, or you can have the cards stack straight down into the tray. And to be honest, I haven't really used this feature because I just kind of like to have my cards at an angle. I find it easier to sort doing it this way, but maybe some may have a preference over that. The price is ultimately where my biggest criticism of this product is going to come from. It is pretty expensive, and so we're going to get into that in a moment. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what this sorting tray comes in. So on the website, which I will put up on the screen here, you have one of these modular sorting tray boxes. And this modular sorting tray box comes with, I believe, 6 sorting trays. And so here we have our 6 sorting trays. As you can see, they're kind of already put together for you. But one of these boxes, as it currently stands at this moment, this box costs $21 if you're just to buy just one of these. So 6 sorting trays in total for $21, which is pretty expensive, especially comparing that to the first sorting tray that I showed you earlier, which is the first one I purchased, this card sorting tray, also from BCW. In this sorting tray is currently $25. So for just $5 more, we can go from 6 trays all the way up to 24 trays in this. So you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Now, of course, this isn't modular, and it's kind of limited. And again, I'll do a review of this as well. But as you can tell, the card spots here become a little bit smaller, which becomes a little bit more of a problem. But as a whole, if you are just a person that is looking to start sorting a few cards, but not really get into, tens of thousands of cards, I highly would recommend this because this is a much more cost-effective method, and it works perfectly fine unless you start sorting tens of thousands of cards. Then you start to see some issues with it. But again, I'll go into that in a future video. But anyway, so one box comes with these, and on the screenshot I showed, you can actually buy multiple of these sorting tray boxes to get a discount. And the discount is significant, but to kind of go into details here, as I mentioned, my old sorting tray had 24 spots. This one, in order to get over 24 trays, or 24 of these boxes, you're looking at over $100. So from the old sorting tray of $25 up to a price of over $100 to get pretty much more spots than I originally had to actually upgrade from the old sorting tray. So that is my biggest complaint of this sorting tray, is the price. I simply think the price is just a little bit high. I don't know a lot about the material this is made in. It seems like it's pretty decent material. It doesn't feel cheap. It's definitely, I don't know. I think it's more of like a plastic, but like not the cheapest plastic you can find. But as you can see in this one that I got, you can just pop these out and put it here. But yeah, as an overall summarization, if you are looking to sort hundreds of thousands of cards, I do recommend going ahead and just investing in something like this, but also look out for other options. I have tried to look for as many options as I can and find the best one, and I find that there's not a lot of options, at least in my area. But I still recommend going out there and looking before go ahead and just picking something like this up. And like I said, if you're sorting around 10,000 or less cards, I do not recommend this. It's very expensive. And I plan on sorting a lot of cards. I have sorted a lot of cards. And so in this case, for me, the minor conveniences that this brings above the first sorting tray I bought makes it worth it just by the sheer scale of cards that I'm sorting. So with that, I'm going to go into if you were to purchase this product, how it kind of works. So let me go ahead and get that ready. Alright, so here we have the 6 trays. Now, let's say you've purchased this, you're convinced of it, and you went ahead and purchased this. I'm going to show you how to assemble these, and believe it or not, as easy as it sounds, which it is kind of easy. There is something important to know about while doing this. So, my recommendation is that when you're doing this, they will come in 3s like this, but make sure that they are lined up completely perfectly. As you stack more and more of these together, you want to make sure that every single one of these is lined up well. Because if it's not, then you will start bending these. And once you bend them, getting them to unbend the way you want and kind of fix them becomes very difficult. And thankfully I caught this early on before I did any actual permanent damage to these. Again, how expensive they are, doing damage to these would kind of not be fun. But moving on, so once we have these, I see these 3 are pretty much, pretty much straight. There's not really any variation here. And I'll just show an example what I mean by not having these like completely like put together. So you typically would want the cards to face you. So this part is going to be what's facing down, and this part is going to be what's facing up. Again, I know fairly simple, but where the important thing comes in is this. So I've put these together, but what I want you to notice immediately is that this is not actually really lined up with this. And you'll feel like, oh, it's snugly fit there, it's there, but that's actually not good. So now if I were to, let's say, stack 2 here, now we have an uneven end right here. Or more noticeably here, you can see this kind of comes up short. And then when you start stacking on the side, that's where the bends are going to come in. So always when you do this, make sure you apply extra pressure. It's going to feel like you're probably trying to break it. Now, do this at your own risk. I'm not telling you to push as hard as you can. But I am saying that you want these to line up as well as they possibly can. And it will take a little bit of adjustment. As you can see, I'm kind of just trying to make sure everything fits snugly. And so once that's done, now I can see, okay, this kind of lines up, and this lines up pretty decently. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then I would get another box here. And then from there you can just kind of stack them more, so on and so forth. But yeah, as you can see, it just kind of stacks up, and you just, like I said, you want to make sure as you do this, double check everything is lined up. You do not want to bend these. Once you bend them, unbending them is probably not going to be an easy process, and you're going to start running into problems with stacking everything. But yeah, there you go, just a simple explanation of how these fit together. And then one more thing I want to quickly go over before I go through the conclusion of this video is probably one of my biggest gripes about this, aside from the price, about the sorting tray. And it's these little flaps. As you could just see, look how easily those fell. Just from me pulling that flap up. Now that's not normally the issue that I run into. More so the issue I run into with this is that these clips, you would think, oh, this will snap in. Like this little clip right here will actually snap into the tray. But despite my best efforts of pushing this in and potentially breaking it, it just comes right out. So I'm not sure ergonomically how that was supposed to really work. Again, for the most part, it doesn't become an issue, but I've had a fair amount of times where we'll say, oh, okay, you know, I'm sorting out some cards, and I go to pull the card out, and then it just falls down. See how easy that is? Now, of course, there I was doing it intentionally. You know, typically I would just pull the card like that, and I'm fine. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but just to show you it's kind of easy. If your hand kind of comes behind the sorting tray a little bit, you're gonna have to pop it down and you're gonna have to move it back up. Not the biggest deal in the world, but again, kind of a interesting inconvenience for something that is pretty expensive. But outside of that, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the conclusion of this video. Just kind of go over my thoughts and everything we talked about here. So again, this sorting tray is only really worth it if you're looking to sort a lot of cards, okay? Like I said, if you're looking at sorting probably under 20,000, 30,000 cards, get this card sorting tray, and I will link it in the description and probably go over it in a future video. Like I said, there's still minor inconveniences, and just as one quick thing I'll bring up with that, I typically alphabet sort as part of my sorting process, and you can't get through the whole alphabet in this many trays, or even these 24 trays. And also, when I go A, B, C, D, E, F, and so forth, and you get the R, S, and T kind of in the front here, and as you could tell, not a lot of cards can actually fit over this. So about this many cards, we'll say. So about this many cards can fit in the front, which becomes a problem because you're always having to move these. With these pockets are actually really deep. So again, why I would advocate for this tray actually, and what advantage this tray actually has, is that these spots, these two top spots, actually can hold more cards than the modular sorting tray can. So this top slot can hold this many, but if I try to do that, see, not even the modular tray can hold that many. So yeah, in conclusion, you're not sorting, you know, tens of thousands of cards. Get this tray. Seriously, it is a great tray. It worked very well for me. The biggest reason that I ended up going to the modular sorting tray or trying to find a bigger tray is just because of the way I sort, but it wouldn't be such a big deal if I wasn't sorting through so many cards. So, and again, check for other options. These two options are not the best options out there. I'm sure there's plenty of other sorting tray options. So please check into that for yourself. And one final thing is that you can tell this tray is actually pretty big for the cards. So look how much space is here. So I think it's multi-purpose, made for not for just Magic or Pokemon cards, but for other cards that could be a lot bigger. I think baseball cards maybe are typically bigger. But yeah, so overall I would say this is only worth it if you plan on dedicating a lot of time to sorting. Then you'll get your money's worth out of it. But if you're just kind of sorting through some cards you have and you're not talking about more than, you know, 20, 30,000 cards, then just get the cheaper sorting tray. Well, I think I pretty much covered everything with this. Like I said, overall I'm happy with this. It's definitely what I wanted it to be. The flap, aside from the price point, the flap's kind of easily falling or a little bit disappointing. You know, it can hold a fair amount of cards. But these aren't as deep as I was hoping, as far as how many cards they can hold, which hasn't caused me too many issues, but just something to note. But yeah, I think that's about it. So that's it for my first review of the modular BCW modular sorting tray. I'm going to be using it in streams, so like I said, I'm definitely happy with it. I wouldn't say it's a bad product, but it is just something that is pretty expensive, and hopefully, you know, the price can go down, or there's other options out there that might be more cost effective that kind of achieve the same thing. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos. Peace.